Mr. Schultz here as we dive into the idea of dividing decimals. Our learning objective for today is to be able to divide polynomials with long division or by factoring. I'm going to put a little. The first one is relatively easy. Let's dive into it. So before we get into that, let's talk about monomial division. With monomial division, we've done this previously. So for example, if I have this 3 and the 3 plus 15 all divided by 3, well, I could literally add it and I'll get 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. But what if we didn't know we could add these? What if it was something else, like two variables? So what we could do is we could break it up into its parts. And we know we're dividing the whole thing by 3. So we're just going to have 15 divided by 3 and this 3 divided by 3, which would be 1 plus 5, which gets us back to this idea right here. But what if we can't get to this? We can get it through different means. The next step right here is sometimes it's going to be easy. Part of it is going to be able to be divisible, but the other part might not be. So if we divide this, 15 divided by 2, it would be 7.5. 7.5. Or we might just leave it like this. And that you can see that when we're going to deal with variables. X divided by 2, I don't know what x is, so I'm just going to say x divided by 2 is equal to x divided by 2. So now, looking at this, I'm left with this idea of, wait, I can't do x squared minus 15x. They're not the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break these apart, and I know that I'm just going to divide it by 3x on both sides. So I'm going to, not both sides, but on both parts of this binomial. So if I actually divide this, I'm going to divide the numbers with the numbers and the letters with the letters. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And x squared divided by x. This leads into this idea of x to the 2 minus 1, which would leave us with x. And then this part right here would be 15x divided by 3x would be 5x. Oh, I'm sorry. X divided by x is 1, so it would actually cancel out. So let me erase that. So it would be 2x minus 5. Now 2x minus 5 is 2x minus 5. I can't do anything because they're not similar. They're not like terms. Let's go further. Let's divide a polynomial by a monomial. So if we have this right here, we see that, hey, this is actually a division. So I can actually rewrite this and say, hey, this is actually this right here. Because this -1 says, hey, send them downstairs. So now looking at this, you might be like, it's so hard, I don't know what to do. Well, simply just break it up. Test it out. See if you can break it up. So I have 24a to the 4th, b to the 3rd, divided by 6ab. I'm going to be adding. So let me pause it and write it in. All right, now that I wrote it in, I'm just going to divide the numbers, the constants with the constants, or the coefficients with the coefficients, and the letters with the same letters. So 24 divided by 6 is going to give me 4. A to the 4th divided by a to the 1st would be a to the 3rd. B3 on top, B1 on bottom, B2. So I'm subtracting by 1 a and 1 b to the power on top. 18 divided by 3, a2, a1, b squared, b1 on the bottom. I don't need to write 1. It's implied that it's to the first power. And then I'm left with this 30 divided by 6 is 5. And these a's will cancel. And b3 minus 1 is b2. So there we go. Now in this next one, what I want you to do is I want you to try it out. I'm going to write the answer in 3, 2, 1. So at this point, I rewrite it as a fraction. Now I'm going to pause it. I'm going to break it up into different terms. Instead of 1, I'm going to break it up into 3 because there's a trinomial on top with a monomial on the bottom. So let's pause it. So now I have a trinomial. So I said, hey, I'm going to divide the whole thing by 3x squared y squared. Well, I'm still dividing everything by 3x squared y squared. So now here's the real answer in a couple seconds. All right, there we go. But wait, there's a negative in the exponent right there. So if we're going to talk about it, going back, is this truly a polynomial? Let's continue. So another way we can divide, going back. So we were dividing by monomial, which is pretty easy. Now we're going to be dividing by a binomial. So there's 2 ways to divide a polynomial with a binomial. So let me write this in. So first we could, factor the polynomial and simplify, and that would be really good. Or we can use the dreaded technique that we learned in 4th grade, which is long division. Let's test it out. So as you can tell from these 2 expressions right here, they're going to give us the same answer, but we're going to figure it out in 2 different ways. So set yourself up. We're going to do it 2 different ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this polynomial, this trinomial right here. I'm using the AC method, and so I'm going to figure out what multiplies to negative 36, but only adds up to negative 5. So I get negative 9 and 4. So now I know what I'm going to be factoring this into. Since the a in this trinomial is 1, I don't need to do the area model at this moment, so I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to rewrite this division. So this trinomial right here is this guy right here. Now it's still going to be divided by x plus 4, but I'm going to make it into a fraction. I'm going to write x plus 4. Hey guys, what's 3 divided by 3? 4 divided by 4, x divided by x. And what is x plus 4 divided by x plus 4? That's right. It's going to be 1. So technically, this guy becomes 1 right there. And so I'm left with the answer of x minus 9. Well, that's really good. We didn't have to do a lot of work. However, on the next one, in the future, if it doesn't have a good remainder, it's not going to give we're going to have to do the tough stuff. So now let's go into long division. What if it's not nice? Well, let's use a nice problem that will end up nicely with this x minus 9. Here's the answer right here. The answer is x minus 9. Oop. But how are we going to get there? Let me set you up. So when I see this right here, I'm going to see, hey, I have a binomial right here. So I'm going to say, okay, what times this will give me, what times 4 right here, or what times x right here will give me, get rid of this x squared right there. So I'm going to know that I am going to put an x right here. So I'm going to go x times x and 4 times x. So I'm going to multiply this part over to this binomial, and I'm going to rewrite it downstairs. So x times 4 is 4x, and x times x is x squared. They're all positive. I'll leave it this. Now, if you remember with long division, Now we subtract it and we bring it down. Minus 5, negative 5 and minus 4 is negative 9, but it's not negative 9, it's negative 9x. Now we bring down the next part right here, and what we'll get rid of, what will this match up? What matches up with negative 9x? I want to make this x times what equals negative 9x. It's going to be minus 9. So now I'm going to do negative 9 times this. I'm going to get negative 9 times x is negative 9x, and negative 9 times 4 is minus 36. And if I subtract this, I'm going to distribute this across, and I'm going to add negative 9x plus 9x and negative 36 plus 36. And this is going to give me a remainder of nothing. No remainder. So I'm done. And so this is my answer, x minus 9. There we go. Now let's hold up for a second. This is our next answer right here. I'm going to have you try both methods, and I want you to get the answer. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put the answer, but you're going to need to show your work, okay? So in 3, 2, 1. Here's my work. Which way did you do? Now you might like the factoring method. However, it's not going to be as nice when we have to have a remainder. As you can tell right here, there's a remainder of 0. So that's nice, but that's not always going to be the case. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll catch you later.